Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Sometimes you hear these stories and it's like, how could this really happen?
Yeah, it's amazing what people go through, huh?
Well, tonight's going to be a wild ride because we're going through some listener tales from the Morbid podcast.
Oh, yeah. I love Morbid.
Yeah, their fan base is amazing, and they have some pretty crazy stories.
Yeah, and what's so interesting is you really get to see how people process the strange and unusual things that have happened to them.
Totally. So you ready to jump in?
Absolutely. Hit me with it.
All right, so first up, we're going all the way back to the 1920s in Chicago. Picture it: flapper dresses, jazz music, and apparently mistaken identity kidnappings.
Oh, wow. So we're starting off strong, huh?
Oh yeah, this one's a doozy. This story comes from Valerie, a Morbid listener, and she shared this crazy story about her grandfather, Ed, who was mistaken for a wealthy department store heir.
Wait, so he was just walking down the street minding his own business and poof, kidnapped.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
And get this, the kidnappers demanded a $5,000 ransom.
Wow.
Right.
In the 1920s.
Yeah, that's like almost $80,000 in today's money.
So they thought they had really struck gold.
Right. But Ed, he's a pretty chill guy, I guess. Yeah, he just calmly tells the kidnappers, hey, I need to call my younger brother to get the cash.
Interesting. So this younger brother, what's his deal?
Okay, so imagine this. It's Ed's younger brother, Herb, this tough-talking 16-year-old. He's part of a Jewish gang.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, and he's an amateur boxer. They called him the Smiling Slugger.
The Smiling Slugger. What kind of nickname is that?
Well, apparently he would fight with this big grin on his face.
He kind of sounds like a psychopath, huh?
Well, maybe so, but he definitely came in clutch for his brother.
What do you mean?
So Herb shows up at the kidnapper's apartment, and when they open the door, bam,
Yeah.
knockout punch blood everywhere.
Oh my gosh, talk about an entrance.
Right. And he just keeps going. He takes down the other two kidnappers, too.
Wow. So he single-handedly took down all three of them.
Yeah, and the whole time this is happening, Ed, the one who's actually kidnapped, is just casually filing his nails.
Oh my God, that is hilarious.
I know, right? It's like something out of a movie, and hold on, because it gets even better. Herb, after beating the crap out of them, makes them empty their wallets and sign a note promising him another $50 for his troubles.
He made them pay him.
Yeah, like a service fee or something.
What a guy. But you said Ed's story doesn't end there.
Oh, no. It's just getting started. Fast forward to the early 1940s. Ed's running a currency exchange in Cicero, Illinois, right next door to Al Capone's brother, Ralph.
No way. So now we're hanging out with gangsters.
Pretty much, it's like something out of a gangster movie, right? Ed's exchanging $1,000 bills for Ralph Capone himself.
You know they outlawed those $1,000 bills, right?
Yeah, no, they don't make them like they used to.
So what kind of trouble does Ed get into with the mob?
Well, this one's a bit different. It involves an 18-year-old girl who comes into his currency exchange.
Okay.
She confides in him that she's pregnant, unmarried, and wants to give the baby up for adoption.
Wow. That's a tough situation, especially back then.
Exactly. It was a very different time with a lot of stigma around that sort of thing.
So what does Ed do?
Well, every day of the day, the resourceful guy, Ed, remembers his brother-in-law mentioning a couple who desperately wanted to adopt a child.
Oh, so he becomes like a middleman.
You got it. He sets up a deal, orchestrates the whole thing. It seems like a win-win for everyone until...
Oh, there's always an until.
You know it. The baby's father enters the picture.
Ah, I should have guessed.
He gets greedy, starts demanding more money from Ed, and even resorts to threats.
So what does Ed do? Call up the Smiling Slugger?
Nope. This time he goes straight to the top dog himself, Ralph Capone.
Oh boy, that's a dangerous game.
He knows it, but he's desperate. So he goes to dry him. Ralph lays on the waterworks. He really hams it up about this awful boyfriend taking advantage of a poor innocent girl.
Oh, so he's playing the sympathy card.
Works like a charm. Ralph tells Ed to send the boyfriend to a specific location to pick up some extra cash.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, you and me both. The boyfriend goes to the location, and two big guys escort him into a car that's the last anyone sees of him for a while anyway.
Whoa, so what happened to him?
It's left up to the imagination. But months later, Ed sees the boyfriend again.
Oh, what happened?
The boyfriend sees him, turns white as a sheet, and takes off running.
It sounds like whatever happened during that car ride was enough to scare him straight.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what Ralph Capone's idea of a solution was.
I don't think I want to know.
Me neither, but it definitely adds to the whole gangster vibe of this story.
No kidding. So from mistaken identity kidnappings to impromptu adoptions and mob-enforced solutions, it seems like Ed lived a pretty wild life, huh?
You can say that again.
Yeah.
But we're just getting started. We're leaving the mean streets of Chicago behind and heading to the serene shores of Lake Tahoe.
Lake Tahoe? That sounds nice and relaxing.
Don't let the scenery fool your eye. Even paradise has a dark side.
Oh, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
This next story comes from Kristen, another Morbid listener. And let me tell you, she and her friends almost ended up as the subject of a true crime documentary themselves.
Wow. Okay, I'm all ears.
This is the year 2000. You know, Y2K has come and gone, the world hasn't imploded, and Kristen and 3 of her friends, fresh out of high school, are on their first big trip together.
Oh, how fun. Where are they headed?
Lake Tahoe, courtesy of Kristen's very generous grandfather.
Oh, Lake Tahoe, beautiful place.
Right. It's the perfect setting for a carefree vacation.
Yeah.
You know, they're doing all the typical good girl things, soda can, pyramids, museum visits, even those cheesy old-timey photo shoots.
Oh, that's cute. So what went wrong?
Well, they're staying in this 3-story townhouse, and Kristen and her friend Jode are sharing the master bedroom.
Okay.
And here's the crucial detail. The lock on the outside door leading directly into their bedroom is broken, and they have no clue.
Oh, no, that's not good.
It's like an open invitation for something bad to happen, right?
Totally. I mean, it wouldn't even have to be something intentional, just someone getting the wrong room or something.
Exactly. And remember I told you Jode forgot her pajamas?
Yeah.
Well, she picks up a new pair at Target that day. Keep that in mind. It'll come back later.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So what happens?
So they were all exhausted from their day of fun, and they drift off to sleep later that night. Kristen wakes up, and there's a full moon, you know, bathing the room in this eerie light, and she hears snoring.
Snoring, so someone else is in the room with them.
Yeah, at first she thinks it's her friend Emily snoring, but then Jode whispers to her, "It's not Emily, it's the man."
Oh my gosh. Okay, so now we're getting to the scary
We're just
bit.
confused. She's like, "What man?" And then she sees him, a large man, sound asleep on the love seat just a few feet from their bed.
Oh my God, what did they do?
So thankfully, Jode's a quick thinker. She tells Kristen to get out of bed and sneak out through the bathroom.
Good idea. I mean, what else could they do?
Exactly. They grab a knife from the kitchen just in case and head to the landline to call 911.
This is the year 2000, right? No cell phones.
Yep. They're stuck with the landline. The 911 operator tells them to get out of the house immediately.
Makes sense.
So they head outside barefoot in their pajamas. They even joke about ending up on an episode of Cops.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine.
The cops arrive along with security from the marina, and they all head back inside while the officers deal with the intruder. Eventually, they see this guy like 8 feet tall in their terrified eyes being led out by the cops.
So it really was just a random drunk guy.
That's what it seems like. And, get this, trailing behind the cops are their other 2 friends, Emily and Aaron. Apparently, all the commotion finally woke them up.
What a night.
Right. But then it gets even weirder. The cops bring them all back to the master bedroom and point out that the outside door isn't locked.
Wait, but I thought they locked it.
They thought they did, but remember that broken lock?
Oh, right.
This guy, he was completely wasted, wandered into the wrong townhouse, climbed the stairs, and just walked right into their unlocked bedroom.
That is terrifying. It's like all these little things lined up to create this perfect storm of creepiness.
Totally. They spend the rest of the night too freaked out to sleep playing Monopoly.
I bet they were just replaying that whole scenario in their heads over and over again.
Oh, absolutely. Imagining what could have happened if he had actually climbed into bed with them.
So they were lucky it was just a harmless drunk guy.
Yeah, really lucky. But here's the thing that really creeps me out. Jode swears she saw the guy smirking at her as he was being led away by the police.
A knowing smirk.
Yeah, like he knew exactly what he was doing.
Ooh, that gives me chills.
Me too. But we have to move on to our final story. This one takes us from the peaceful shores of Lake Tahoe to a haunted chair factory in Detroit.
A haunted chair factory. Now that's a setting ripe for a creepy story.
And this one's good. Our storyteller, Nick, is a medical student living in this converted chair factory with 2 roommates, Amy and Sarah.
Okay, so 3 roommates in a creepy old factory. I'm already hooked.
Both girls are working on their doctorates, but they're total opposites. Sarah's a social butterfly, always out and about. Amy's more like, Nick prefers a quiet night in with a good book.
So a classic introvert-extrovert dynamic.
Exactly. Nick spends most of his days alone in the apartment studying.
Makes sense for a med student.
Then Sarah's schedule changes. She starts coming home earlier in the afternoons.
Okay.
And that's when things get weird.
I was wondering when the weirdness would start.
So one day Sarah comes home and Nick, tries to make conversation, just casual roommate stuff. But Sarah just stares at him with this creepy smile on her face.
Not a word.
Not a single word, just this unsettling smile. And then later that day, Mick hears keys jingling and assumes it's Amy coming home.
All right.
But when he looks up, it's Sarah again, 2 Sarahs in one afternoon.
Whoa. Okay, that's freaky.
Right. He's freaked out, but tries to rationalize it away later that night. The real Sarah comes home, and with both roommates present, Nick cautiously asks about her earlier arrival.
What does she say?
She denies it, completely insists she hasn't been home all day.
So he's not imagining things.
And to make things even creepier, Amy backs Nick up. She saw the other Sarah, too.
So now they both have seen this other Sarah, this silent, smiling doppelganger.
It's like something straight out of a horror movie.
Okay, so what do? They got to get out of there, right?
You'd think so, but they basically ignore it.
They ignore it. Are they crazy?
I know, right? But they just keep living their lives knowing there's this creepy, silent Sarah wandering around their apartment.
That's so creepy. I wouldn't be able to sleep.
I wouldn't either, but hey, maybe they just had really good noise-canceling headphones.
Maybe, but I doubt it could block out that creepy smile.
True, very true.
Yeah.
But anyway, weeks go by, and they don't see Silent Sarah again. Then one night, Nick wakes up to go to the bathroom. As he opens his bedroom door, he sees her standing right outside, bathed in the glow of Christmas lights, with that same creepy smile on her face.
Oh my God, no. Christmas lights are supposed to be cheerful, not creepy.
I know, right? But there she is in all her creepy glory.
So what does Nick do?
Well, nature calls. So he has to go to the bathroom, he flips on the light, and poof, she's gone.
She just disappeared.
Yep, they never see her again.
That's so unsettling. So what was Silent Sarah? A ghost? A hallucination?
We'll never know. But it definitely makes you think twice about living in a converted chair factory.
No kidding.
All right, so this next story comes from Kristen, another Morbid listener.
Okay.
And this one is really interesting because she and her friends, they almost became like the victims in a true crime documentary.
Wow, really? Okay, I'm definitely interested.
So picture this.
Okay.
It's the year 2000. You know, Y2K is come and gone. We all survived. The world hasn't imploded.
Yeah.
And Kristen and 3 of her friends, they're fresh out of high school.
Okay.
And they're embarking on their first big trip together.
Fun.
Yeah, and where are they going? Lake Tahoe.
Ooh, nice.
Courtesy of Kristen's very generous grandfather.
That's awesome.
So they're, Lake Tahoe, beautiful place, crystal clear waters. You've got those towering pines, the fresh mountain air.
Yeah, it's idyllic.
It's the perfect backdrop for a carefree escape.
Yeah.
Especially when you've just finished high school and you're about to go off into the real world.
Totally.
And they're doing all the typical good girl things. They're making those soda can pyramids. They're going to museums. They're even doing those like cheesy old-timey photo shoots.
Oh, that's so cute.
It's very wholesome, right?
Yeah.
But one night, their idyllic vacation takes a pretty dark turn.
Oh, no. Okay. What happened?
So they're staying in this charming 3-story townhouse.
Okay.
Kristen and her friend Jode, they're sharing the master bedroom. And here's the thing, and this is really important, okay? The lock on the outside door that leads directly into their bedroom, it's broken.
Oh, no.
And they have no idea.
Oh, gosh, that's scary.
Yeah, it's like a recipe for disaster.
Totally.
And remember, I mentioned that Jode forgot to pack pajamas?
Yeah.
Well, she picks up a new pair at Target that day.
Yeah.
Keep that little detail in mind. That'll come back later.
Okay, yeah.
All right, so they're exhausted from their day of wholesome fun, and they all drift off to sleep. Later that night, Kristen wakes up.
Okay.
And there's a full moon outside, and it's bathing the room in this, like, eerie, almost otherworldly light.
Spooky.
And she hears snoring.
Oh, God, that's creepy.
Right. So at first she just assumes it's her friend Emily snoring.
Makes sense.
But then Jod whispers to her, it's not Emily, she says.
Oh, God.
It's the man.
Oh, my God, chills.
Right. So Kristen's confused. She's like, what man?
Yeah.
And then she sees him.
Oh, no.
There's this large man sound asleep on the love seat just a few feet from their bed.
That is terrifying.
I know. It's like a nightmare come to life, right?
Yeah.
So thankfully, Jode is like a really quick thinker.
Thank goodness.
She whispers to Kristen to get out of bed and sneak out through the bathroom.
Good idea.
And remember, this is 2000. So there are no cell phones.
Right.
So they can't just like quickly call for help.
Yeah, you're tethered to that landline.
Exactly. So they grab a knife from the kitchen just in case.
Smart.
And they make their way to the landline to call 911.
Okay.
The 911 operator tells them to get out of the house immediately.
Yeah, for sure.
But here's the thing. For some reason, they don't wake up their other 2 friends who are sound asleep upstairs.
Oh, wow.
They just leave.
Huh. I wonder why.
I don't know. Maybe they were just so freaked out that they weren't thinking straight.
Yeah, probably adrenaline just kicks in and you go into survival mode.
Yeah. So there they are, barefoot in their pajamas. Remember Jode's new Target PJs?
Oh, yeah.
Standing in the driveway waiting for the cops to arrive.
Oh, my God.
And they're even joking about, ending up on an episode of Cops.
Wow.
So the police arrive, along with security from the marina,
Okay.
and they all head back inside while the officers deal with the intruder. And eventually they see this guy who looks about 8 feet tall in their terrified eyes
Man.
being led out by the cops.
Okay, so thankfully it wasn't like an intruder or anything?
Yeah, it seems like it was just a random drunk guy.
Oh, wow.
And trailing behind them, wide-eyed and still in their pajamas, are their friends, Emily and Aaron.
Oh, so they finally woke up?
Yeah. Apparently, all the commotion finally roused them from their slumber.
Oh, no.
But here's where it gets even weirder. The cops, they bring them all back to the master bedroom, and they point out that the outside door isn't locked.
Wait, but I thought they locked it.
They thought they did, but remember that broken lock.
Oh, right.
So it turns out this guy, he was completely wasted. He just wandered into the wrong townhouse, climbed the stairs, and walked right into their unlocked bedroom.
Oh, my God.
It's so creepy.
They're so lucky that it was just a drunk guy.
Yeah, it could have been so much worse.
Totally.
So they spend the rest of the night too freaked out to sleep. They end up playing Monopoly.
Yeah, I bet.
Just replaying that whole scenario in their heads over and over again.
Totally. And imagining, like, what if scenario.
Oh, absolutely. Like, what if he hadn't fallen asleep? What if he had woken up while they were still in the room?
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. That's terrifying.
So the next morning, they call their parents, assure them that they didn't do anything wrong. Good girls, remember?
Yeah.
And thankfully, the broken lock finally gets fixed.
Good.
And they decide to continue their vacation. Yeah, they're like, you know what? We're not going to let this ruin our trip.
Wow, they're brave.
They add more soda cans to their pyramid.
Yeah.
They play games. They try to just, put the whole incident behind them.
I mean, it's kind of inspiring, right?
It is. Like, they didn't let this one scary experience ruin their whole vacation.
Exactly.
But here's the thing that really gets me here. Judge swears she saw the man smirking at her as he was being led away by the police.
A knowing smirk.
Yeah, like he knew exactly what he was doing.
Oh my God, that gives me chills.
Right. It's almost like he was saying, I could have done something, but I chose not to.
Ooh, yeah, that's super creepy.
It's like a little reminder that even when you think you're safe, there are still shadows lurking around the corner.
That's a good way to put it. So we're leaving the tranquility of Lake Tahoe now?
We are. We're trading the sunshine and fresh air for something a little more, sinister.
Ooh, I like where this is going.
Our final story takes us to a haunted chair factory in Detroit.
A haunted chair factory. Sign me up.
Our storyteller, Nick, he's the medical student, and he's living in this converted chair factory with 2 roommates, Amy and Sarah.
Okay.
They're both working on their doctorates, but personality-wise, they are like night and day.
Oh, how so?
Sarah's like a social butterfly, always out with friends, always chatting it up. Amy's more like Nick. She's an introvert, prefers a quiet night with a good book.
Right. I can relate to that.
So Nick, he spends most of his days alone in the apartment, just hitting the books, studying.
Makes sense. He's a med student. Got to study.
Then Sarah's schedule changes, and she starts coming home earlier in the afternoons.
Okay.
And that's when things start to get a little creepy.
Here we go.
So one day Sarah comes home, and Nick's like, hey, how was your day? Just trying to, make conversation.
Yeah.
But Sarah, she just stares at him with this creepy smile on her face.
Oh, no.
Doesn't say a word.
That's so weird.
Right. And then later that day, Nick hears keys jingling and assumes it's Amy coming home.
Okay.
But when he looks up, it's Sarah again. 2 Sarahs in one afternoon. Yeah, it's like a glitch in the Matrix.
That is so freaky.
So Nick is like, okay, this is really weird, but I'm probably tired or something.
Right, trying to rationalize it.
Exactly. But then later that night, the real Sarah comes home.
Okay.
And Nick, with both roommates present, cautiously asks about her earlier arrival.
So what does she say?
She's like, what are you talking about? I haven't been home all day.
So he's not crazy.
And to make it even weirder, Amy backs him up.
She saw her too.
Yep, they both saw this silent, smiling doppelganger of Sarah.
That is so creepy. Like, what do you even do with that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I would have moved out immediately.
Right.
But they didn't. They just kept living their lives.
Wow. I guess they just tried to ignore it.
Maybe they thought if they didn't acknowledge it, it would just go away.
Yeah, maybe, but that's a risky move.
For sure. But anyway, weeks go by, and they don't see Silent Sarah again.
Okay.
Then one night, Nick wakes up to go to the bathroom. He opens his bedroom door, and there she is standing right outside, bathed in the glow of Christmas lights.
Oh, God, no.
With that same creepy smile on her face.
Oh, my gosh. That's nightmare fuel right there.
It's like something out of a horror movie.
Totally.
So Nick's terrified, but he has to pee.
Right. Nature calls.
So he summons all his courage, walks to the bathroom, flips on the light, and she's gone.
She just vanished.
Yep. They never see Silent Sarah again.
Wow. So they never figure out what was going on?
Nope. They moved out, eventually went on with their lives.
But I bet they never forgot about Silent Sarah.
Oh, definitely not.
Oh.
I'm sure that experience stayed with them.
Yeah, some things you just can't unsee.
You know, that's a good point. I think what makes these stories so compelling is that they tap into our primal fears.
Yeah, like the fear of the unknown, the things that go bump in the night.
Exactly. And they remind us that the world is full of mysteries.
And sometimes the scariest things are the ones we can't explain.
So what do you think? Out of all the stories we talked about tonight, which one creeped you out the most?
Oh, that's tough. They were all pretty creepy, but I think the one that sticks with me the most is the Lake Tahoe story.
Really? Why that one?
I don't know, there's just something so unsettling about the thought of someone breaking into your home while you're sleeping and you have no idea.
Yeah, that is pretty terrifying. And the fact that they didn't even know the lock was broken just adds to the creep factor.
Right. Like it could have happened to anyone.
Exactly. So I guess the moral of the story is always double check your locks.
And maybe invest in a good security system.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea either. All right, well, that's it for tonight's deep dive into the world of listener tales from the Morbid podcast.
This was a fun one.
Yeah, it was a wild ride for sure. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and be sure to tune in next time for another deep dive into the strange and unusual.
And don't forget to check your locks.
And leave the lights on.